All right, in this video, we are going to work on the second practice problem in our section on conditional statements. All right, so the statement of it says, write a program that asks the user to enter the day's high and low temperatures. If the high is greater than or equal to 90 degrees, display the message heat warning. If the low is less than 32 degrees, display the message freeze warning. If the difference between the high and low temperatures is more than 40 degrees, display the message large temperature swing. Okay, so first off, let's start off with the input. All right, so we are going to get some input from the user. And so using input, enter the high temperature. Okay, and then we need to decide here whether or not we're going to allow decimal values or not, or do we want to just use int? And here you can just see that these are all int values here, and so it doesn't matter a whole lot in this problem. It's really not about that part of Python or anything like that. So let's just go ahead and use int. But we'll definitely need to change it to a numeric type, right? Because in the last part, we'll have to do some subtraction between the high and low temperatures. So same thing on the low. All right, so there is the input part, and let's save this. Okay, so next up, right, we need to decide in our program whether or not, based on the user input, we're going to display these messages. So it says if the high is greater than or equal to 90 degrees, display the message heat warning. So let's just go ahead and do that one. If high is greater than or equal to 90, right, we are, oops, don't need those parentheses. We are going to display the message heat warning. Okay, all right, and then it says if the low is less than 32 degrees, well, actually, let's go ahead and test that. So if we do 103 and 23, right, there we go, we get the message heat warning displayed. All right, and so then moving on to the next one, it says if the low is less than 32 degrees, display the message freeze warning. So we're going to have to do something with the less, right? If the check to see if the variable is less. So at this point, you have to kind of make the decision, how should I do this? Should I use just a simple if statement, or should I use an else statement? So a simple if would just be like this: if the low is less than 32, then print freeze warning. Okay, and or should I use an else if statement, or should I just do else, right, and not even have to worry about this part right here? Well, if you test this out, you can kind of see that this solution really is not going to work, right? Because if I have, say, like it was 91 on the high temperature and it was 31 on the low temperature, that would be pretty extreme, but, could that happen? I guess so, yeah. It doesn't seem super likely, but I don't know that we can rule that out and say, yeah, that couldn't ever happen, right? So if I do it this way, then what's going to happen is that you can see it prints the heat warning, right? But it doesn't print the low temperature warning, right? Because remember, the way if else works is that exactly one of these is going to get executed, right? So that doesn't work. So If you try elif here and run this, and so if I did 91 and 31 again, then you can see again it only displays the heat warning. It doesn't display the freeze warning right here. So these two things are essentially independent of the other. And so if you try to use if else or the else if statement, it just won't work out right. You just have to use a simple if right here. So if the high is greater than 90 degrees, then print that. And if it's the low is less than 32 degrees, print that. So the reality of this situation just kind of dictates that you would use simple if statements here. All right, so we have one more. If the difference between the high and the low temperatures is more than 40 degrees, display the message large temperature swing. So for the same reason here, we would not use an else if statement, an if else or else if, because really only one of those messages would get executed. So here, the only our only real choice is to use three separate simple if statements. Okay, and so it says if the difference between the high and the low temperatures is more than 40. So that would be if high minus low is more than 40. So that's how we would write that in terms of a Python expression. So print large temperature swing. All right, so let's try that. So if I had 91 and 31, then there we go. It prints all three messages as it should. Try some other cases. If it's 90 is the high and then the low is 70, then I just get heat warning. If the high is 73 and the low is let's say 30, then I get freeze warning, large temperature swing. And then if the temp high is 40, the low is 30, then I get freeze warning only. And then if I do 89 and 40, then I just get the large temperature swing there. Okay, so that is it on this one.